Let's be honest, most older men have no clue why younger women are giving them attention. They think it's about wealth, status, or some surface-level charm. But what if I told you that all of that is just a small piece of a much deeper psychological puzzle? That the truth is hidden in instincts, desires, and subconscious patterns that women don't even consciously recognize. And if you don't understand this, you're missing out on a side of attraction that changes everything. Here's the first thing you need to grasp. Women are constantly evaluating security and stability, but not in the way most men think. It's not just financial security. It's emotional and psychological reliability. It's a pattern they pick up in a glance, in a voice, in the way you carry yourself. Younger women aren't chasing older men because of their bank account. They're drawn to the invisible signals of experience, self-control, and emotional resilience. These are the qualities most younger men haven't yet developed. And here's the catch. Older men often don't even realize they're radiating these signals because it's not about effort. It's about authenticity. Think about it. A man in his 20s may try to act confident, but confidence built on insecurity or bravado is almost always transparent. Women detect it immediately. But a man who has lived through challenges, heartbreak, mistakes, and still stands with calm authority sends an entirely different message. That message is without a word, I am someone who can handle life and I can be counted on. That is magnetic in ways money or looks cannot replicate. And here's another secret most older men miss. They underestimate the role of subtle masculinity. I'm not talking about gym muscles or suits. I mean the quiet, grounded presence of a man who has a life outside of women. A man who has developed himself, mind, body, career, passions without obsessing over being desired. Women are hardwired to sense that stability, and it triggers attraction on a deep, almost primal level. It's why they sometimes stare longer than expected or engage in small, seemingly casual touches. That curiosity you see in their eyes, that subconscious evaluation. Older men also tend to forget one critical element: restraint. There's something intensely appealing about a man who doesn't need to chase. It's counterintuitive because society tells men to pursue aggressively. But the truth is, desire grows in absence and in mystery. Women pick up on restraint like radar. It signals self-respect, emotional intelligence, and control over one's impulses. It's a psychological trigger that younger men struggle to emulate because they haven't yet learned to contain their energy and project quiet confidence instead. This isn't about manipulation. It's about awareness. Women are instinctively wired to notice patterns of maturity, resilience, and authentic authority. If you can embody these traits even subtly, the age gap becomes irrelevant. What matters is what your life communicates without you saying a single word. Younger women, unconsciously or not, respond to that authenticity. And the power isn't in trying to impress. It's in becoming the kind of man who naturally carries these traits. Attraction isn't logical. You can't argue it, negotiate it, or buy it. And that's exactly why younger women are often drawn to older men. They're responding to something beneath the surface, something instinctual that most men don't even recognize in themselves. It's not about who yells the loudest, spends the most money, or posts the most carefully curated pictures. It's about emotional gravity, the kind of pull that comes from experience and self-mastery. Think about the last time you noticed someone truly confident. Not cocky, not desperate, just grounded. That presence commands attention without effort. That's what older men often radiate. Naturally, because life has taught them lessons, younger men are still learning the hard way. Women sense that security. They sense a mind that has survived storms without breaking, a heart that has loved deeply without losing itself. And here's the key. They are subconsciously attracted to that stability because it triggers safety, curiosity, and desire all at once. Now let's unpack another layer that older men rarely acknowledge. Time brings perspective, and perspective changes the way you interact with the world. Younger men chase outcomes, reactions, validation. They're always hungry. Older men operate differently. They can listen, observe, and respond without anxiety. That difference is massive. Women pick up on it immediately. They feel it in your tone of voice, the way your eyes linger without neediness, the calm energy you bring into a room. That's not just attraction, it's intrigue. And intrigue is the precursor to deeper emotional connection. Here's something even more powerful. Younger women are unconsciously evaluating whether you can provide not just stability, but challenge. Yes, challenge. They want a man who isn't easily shaken, who can hold his ground without turning cold or aggressive. It's the paradox of desire. Strength attracts, but so does subtlety. Older men who've cultivated emotional intelligence can navigate this balance naturally. They can push, tease, and engage without insecurity. And that sparks fascination. That fascination is magnetic. It makes women think, feel, and notice in ways that younger men, still learning their own boundaries, can't replicate. And there's one more truth older men often ignore. Patience is seductive. Most younger men operate at a frantic pace: texts, calls, social media attention, constant pursuit. But when a man demonstrates patience, calmness, and an absence of desperation, it flips the entire dynamic. Women subconsciously associate restraint with high value with self-respect. And here's the kicker. When you combine patience with subtle authority and genuine presence, the attraction isn't just surface level. It penetrates emotionally, mentally, and yes, physically. The women who look at older men with curiosity, admiration, or even subtle desire aren't shallow. They're responding to signals you don't even have to articulate. Your energy, your history, your emotional resilience, and your grounded presence communicate volumes. If you've lived, learned, and evolved, that becomes irresistible. It's not about forcing attraction. It's about understanding the psychology that makes it inevitable when you exist as your highest self. Most men completely misread what younger women are really looking for. They see the attention and assume it's superficial, fleeting, or all about lust. But here's the thing. Women aren't as simple as that, and their attraction operates on layers they themselves might not even fully understand. Younger women are wired to notice patterns, signals, and behaviors that scream maturity, stability, and subtle dominance long before they consciously articulate it. And older men, whether they realize it or not, often naturally embody those traits. Think about instincts for a moment. Attraction is an ancient mechanism designed to evaluate survival, compatibility, and emotional intelligence in a partner. Younger women instinctively scan for a man who can handle stress without falling apart, who can make decisions without panic, and who can protect not just physically, but emotionally and socially. That's why older men, having navigated decades of life's complexities, become unconsciously magnetic. Their very existence communicates competence, reliability, and experience in ways younger men haven't yet mastered. But here's the subtle part most men overlook. Younger women are also evaluating growth potential, but in reverse. They are attracted to someone who has already evolved, someone who embodies lessons they are only beginning to learn. It's not about your age. It's about the psychological weight and depth you carry. And this depth isn't something you flaunt. It's something that radiates through your confidence, your calm energy, and the way you hold space for the people around you. A younger man often lacks that depth, so the comparison is inevitable. Women notice, and their attention is drawn toward it. There's another factor that older men rarely recognize: the allure of mystery. Life experience gives you stories, scars, and a quiet confidence that doesn't demand explanation. Younger women are intrigued by this, often without realizing why. The gaps in your story, the lessons you've lived, and the subtle authority you carry make you feel like a puzzle worth exploring. That intrigue is powerful. It activates curiosity, desire, and admiration simultaneously, and unlike lust, it grows stronger over time. Here's the truth most older men miss. They underestimate the power of calm dominance. It's not aggression or intimidation. It's the ability to command presence and attention through composure. Women detect this instantly. The way you respond under pressure, the way you make decisions without overthinking, And the way you remain centered even in chaos sends a signal they can't resist. It's primal, and it bypasses logic entirely. Finally, remember this. Younger women are evaluating more than just attraction. They're assessing compatibility on a subconscious level, looking for cues of respect, intelligence, and emotional resilience. The older man who understands this doesn't need to perform, impress, or chase. His awareness, experience, and grounded energy do the work. That's why when younger women glance at older men with fascination, it's not superficial, it's instinctive, and it's a truth most men never realize because it's invisible to those still figuring out themselves. Older men often have no idea how profoundly their presence can affect younger women. It's not loud, it's not flashy, and it's not something they can replicate with a clever line or a fancy car. It's subtle, it's almost invisible, but it hits harder than anything superficial ever could. Younger women pick up on signals that are entirely subconscious, the kind of energy that can make them feel simultaneously safe, curious, and emotionally charged. And the older man often doesn't even realize he's doing it. Here's the first emotional trigger: stability under pressure. When life throws challenges your way, the way you respond speaks volumes. Women notice when a man maintains composure, makes clear decisions, and doesn't overreact to chaos. Younger men, still learning to manage their own impulses, often fumble here. Older men who have weathered life's storms, however, radiate a quiet confidence that sends a clear message. I can handle this. I can handle you. I can handle life. That message taps into something deeply primal. It's not just attraction, it's reassurance, and reassurance triggers desire. Next, let's talk about emotional intelligence, the kind that comes from real experience. Younger men may have energy and passion, but they often lack depth. Older men, having experienced heartbreak, failure, and success, understand nuance. They can listen without judgment, respond without defensiveness, and navigate emotional complexity with ease. Women sense this almost instantly. A glance, a tone of voice, or a pause in conversation communicates, "I understand you," even the parts you don't say. That kind of connection creates fascination, and fascination is the foundation of irresistible attraction. Here's something older men underestimate: the power of restraint. It's tempting to chase, to over-explain, or to prove yourself constantly, but attraction thrives on balance. Subtlety, patience, and self-control create a magnetic tension that draws women in. When you're not desperate for attention, when you're not reacting impulsively, the subconscious mind of a younger woman interprets that as high value. That magnetic pull can be more potent than looks, money, or status combined. And then there's the power of authenticity. Nothing is more compelling than a man who has lived, learned, and isn't afraid to be himself. Younger women unconsciously sense the difference between performance and truth. When you carry the confidence of someone who has earned his life experiences without needing constant validation, it creates a gravity that's hard to resist. That authenticity makes younger women want to observe, engage, and explore, not out of superficial curiosity, but because there's a real, tangible depth to your presence. Finally, don't forget mystery, the quiet intrigue that comes with life experience. Scarred, educated, and seasoned men carry stories without needing to narrate them. The gaps, the pauses, the confidence in silence. It all signals intelligence, resilience, and complexity. Younger women are drawn to what they can't immediately categorize because curiosity is a core driver of attraction. It's not manipulation. It's simply the natural outcome of existing as a man who has lived fully, authentically, and resiliently. Most older men underestimate just how much their life experience creates emotional and physical magnetism. It's not about being flashy, loud, or overbearing. It's about presence, energy, and subtle signals that younger women respond to without even realizing. This is where most men fail. They try to imitate youth, compete with younger men, or overcompensate with status symbols. But attraction doesn't work that way. Desire is primal, instinctive, and triggered by things you can't buy or fake. One of the most powerful triggers is emotional stability. Women are wired to notice how a man handles his emotions because it communicates safety and reliability. Younger men still learning to navigate uncertainty often show tension, frustration, or neediness. Older men who've endured challenges, heartbreak, and setbacks without losing themselves communicate something else entirely: resilience. That resilience signals, I am capable, I am dependable, I can be trusted. Younger women pick up on that immediately, and it creates a pull that's deeper than superficial attraction. Another subtle but potent factor is the ability to command attention without demanding it. Older men who have cultivated self-respect, purpose, and independence exude a presence that draws people in naturally. It's not about dominance in a forceful way. It's about grounded authority. Younger women feel it in a glance, a tone of voice, or a simple gesture. That magnetism isn't something you can replicate with charm alone. It's a product of life experience and authenticity. Let's talk about restraint, because most men ignore this. Patience, subtlety, and not overreacting are incredibly seductive. Women instinctively respond to men who don't chase desperately because that restraint signals value and self-control. When you combine restraint with confidence, emotional intelligence, and experience, the attraction is almost automatic. It's not a trick or a strategy. It's the natural byproduct of living a mature, intentional life. Physical magnetism is also amplified by experience. Not gym muscles or fashion statements, though those can help, but the way a man carries himself. Confidence in posture, calmness in movement, and the quiet authority and body language communicate competence and control. Younger women notice this instantly, even if they can't explain why. Energy, composure, and presence are more powerful than any appearance. Finally, older men often fail to recognize the power of mystery. Life experience gives you depth, stories, and complexity that younger men haven't yet developed. Women are instinctively curious about what they can't immediately categorize. That intrigue is magnetic. It keeps attention, sparks conversation, and builds desire. When paired with emotional stability, restraint, and authentic presence, it creates a combination that younger women find irresistible. Being older isn't a disadvantage. It's a hidden advantage. Your value isn't measured by superficial comparisons. It's measured by your depth, experience, and the subtle signals you send every day. When you understand this, you stop competing and start embodying a presence that naturally attracts, fascinates, and engages younger women on a level most men can't reach. Understanding why younger women look at older men is only half the equation. The real power comes when you consciously embrace it, embody it, and use it to elevate yourself. Not just to attract, but to become someone who commands respect, curiosity, and genuine desire without effort. This isn't about manipulation. It's about alignment, becoming the version of yourself that naturally triggers fascination, intrigue, and attraction. Start with presence. Life experience has already given you something younger men are desperate to imitate: calm authority, but most men squander it, unaware of its effect. When you walk into a room, hold a conversation, or even glance at someone, your energy speaks before words do. It signals security, competence, and emotional intelligence. Younger women pick up on this instinctively. They notice when a man isn't reactive, isn't chasing approval, and isn't defined by external validation. That presence alone is magnetic. Next, cultivate emotional intelligence and restraint. Women are drawn to men who manage themselves under pressure, who can listen, respond, and navigate complexity without overreacting. This creates a sense of safety that is deeply attractive, and it also triggers intrigue. Restraint paradoxically makes you more desirable. It signals self-respect, high value, and maturity. It's why older men who don't chase but simply exist fully in themselves often become the object of fascination. Then leverage the power of mystery. Your history, experiences, and subtle scars create depth that younger women can sense even if they can't articulate it. You don't need to tell them every detail. Your energy communicates it. The gaps in your story, the pauses in your conversation, and the quiet confidence you radiate create curiosity. And curiosity is the spark that transforms mere attention into emotional and physical attraction. Combine all of this with authenticity. Women are subconsciously wired to detect performance. Younger men often fake confidence, charm, or authority. But older men who have lived fully, learned from mistakes, and evolved naturally exude authenticity. That authenticity resonates more deeply than any superficial gesture. It triggers trust, intrigue, and desire simultaneously. Younger women are drawn to that without realizing why. Finally, recognize your value in a way most men don't. Being older isn't a disadvantage, it's a hidden advantage. Your experience, composure, emotional intelligence, and life mastery are assets that younger women instinctively notice. When you embody these traits, attraction becomes effortless. You stop competing and start standing apart. You stop chasing and start drawing people in naturally. Here's a question to reflect on. If confidence plus emotional intelligence multiplied by restraint equals your attraction power, what's your number today? Comment your answer below because your growth matters. And if this video revealed truths you weren't supposed to know, like subscribe and share it with a friend who needs to hear